So before we start with the video, I want to quickly address whether this tool is against Path of Exile TOS or not. In short, it isn't. The TOS mainly states a few key things about macros. Macros must always be manually triggered by the user. They cannot run automatically through timers, file changes, or screen reading, and each macro activation must perform only one single action, and it cannot cycle through multiple actions. That single action can be something like sending a single chat message or executing an in-game command. With that in mind, this tool stays entirely within those boundaries. First, it does not read the screen at all, and instead it relies on the game's built-in copy item to clipboard function using Ctrl-C or Ctrl-Alt-C. You can test this yourself by going over any item in the game and holding your Ctrl, Alt, and C. Then, if you go to something like the notepad, you can then copy the information for this item into here, and you will see things like prefix modifier, what item you're using, and all of these kinds of infos. So it uses those infos to basically determine whether we want to have this hotkey active or not. It only performs actions based on a single key press. Each hotkey triggers exactly one action per press. That includes not only in-game actions like using currency, but it also includes any mouse movement tied to that input. Each of those is still treated as a single action. So if the tool is, for example, moving from the item to the Chaos Orb, then just for this movement of the mouse, like this, it will already be a singular press. So you really have to press a lot of times to have this tool working. So it's still manual input, it just streamlines the process. Of course, there is some gray area, and I can't guarantee absolute certainty in how this would be interpreted in every singular case, but in my view, it's not fundamentally different from other accepted tools like item pricing utilities, which are widely used and openly supported by GGG. The fact that this Ctrl-C item data is in of itself so extremely detailed by including item type, rarity, quality, quantity, and all modifiers with exact values, tiers, and prefix suffix information is, in my opinion, already kind of proof that these kinds of tools, item pricing tools, these tools for crafting, are already intended by GGG, and they also drive a lot of hype. So with all of that said, I believe that this tool fits within the intended use of those systems, and if any issues ever come up regarding TOS compliance, we'll of course adjust or disable parts of it to stay safe. So with that out of the way, let's get into the video. What's up everyone, and welcome back to another PoE economics video. So today we're taking a look at the Econ Crafter. This is a tool that I've been developing the past few months. It is exclusive for Tier 2 members for now, but there will also be a public release very soon. It's just something that I'm still working on and it is still not done, but the Tier 2 version is already available for all Tier 2 members on PoEconomics.com. If you're interested, there's a bunch of different benefits from it as well, so go ahead and check it out. Otherwise, let's get into how this application works and what benefits it has. So first off, when we launch the application, you can see that we have a bunch of different stats here. Those are of course for local testing. This basically means that if you're a member, you can log in with your email and it will show you some membership info here, of course. Also some links to the Discord, the website, and YouTube, which by the way, if you're not part of the Discord yet, I highly recommend to join. This is all good and nice, but of course we want to take a look at the actual tool. So we'll just press the launch and right away you can see we have a bunch of different tabs here. So first off, we want to decide what are we crafting. Are we crafting in Path of Exile 2 or Path of Exile 1? So we're crafting in Path of Exile 2, and what path are we following? So there's two different spam paths in Path of Exile 2. The first involves just spamming one singular currency, and the other involves spamming and then removing. So for example, an explicit spam would mean that we have an item like a wand and we have the Chaos Orb. So we just take the Chaos Orb, put it on the item, and that over and over again. And for the explicit apply remove spam, that's basically using an exalted on the item and then removing it with nods. Now the pathing for these two is very different. For example, if we're using multiple modifiers, what we'd have to do with the chaos spamming would be to just get a bunch of modifiers, however many we want. Let's say, for example, 3, and then we just re-roll these 3 until we have the 3 desired modifiers that we want. And for the exalted spam, what we do is basically would look for the first modifier, which, let's say, for example, we want gain fire damage, and then we'd use another exalted for the second modifier that we want. And if it's not a modifier that we want, like for example attribute requirements, we'd have to remove it, which can either remove the first modifier or the second modifier, and then depending on that we either remove it again or use another exalt. These crafting paths are very different, and that's why they're separate in this tool. Now, the first one that we're going to take a look at is going to be the explicit spam. So after we've selected our item, like for example the wands, it has all modifiers in the game listed in the Prefixes tab as well as the Suffixes tab. So for example, if we want a wand with, let's say, Tier 1 increased spell damage, we would expand the increased spell damage category and we'd double click on Tier 1. If we want, let's say, Tier 3 and up, we would just select Tier 3 and the program would automatically assume, okay, Tier 3 and higher. If we want any tier of a modifier, we can simply double click it like this, and then all of them light up in green. Now you can also see what modifiers exactly you selected in the selected tab, and of course also remove them again by double clicking on them. If we, let's say for example, want increased spell damage on our wand, the next step, we want to select how many of the modifiers that we've selected we actually want to end up with on the item. So for example, it could be that I want increased spell damage, fire damage, cold damage, and lightning damage, but I only need one of these modifiers. Then I would set the mod count up here as 1. Now this goes all the way up to 8 modifiers because of waystones, but usually on a normal item you would have maximum of 6 modifiers. So for example, if we have 1 modifier selected, that means that if either increased spell damage, increased fire damage, increased cold, or lightning hits on the item, the crafter is going to stop. Now if we select 2, then it has to be a combination of these 4, but at least 2 of them. If we select 3, then it has to be at least 3, and so on and so on. So for the sake of this video, we'll just take 1 modifier and we'll just take increased spell damage. Now the step after this is going to the positions tab. There's 2 different parts of the positions tab. First off is just the simple crafting. So this is when you just have 1 base that you're crafting on, and then the multi-base stash crafting. So first off, let's do the simpler one. We're going to capture all of our additive currency positions. Since we're using the explicit spam, we're just going to capture the Chaos Orb, and we do that by pressing on this capture button and then hovering over our Chaos Orb and pressing the spacebar. It's very important that we do that while not being inside of the game, but having the application hovered over the game. Because if you press spacebar inside of the game, it's going to close everything. It's going to be very hard to add all of your currency positions. Now you saw that we're still capturing this, and due to the fact that I just pressed spacebar again, it added another position. So as you can already assume, that means that we can define multiple positions of different stacks of items. So let's say, for example, we have something like this, right? Let's say we have 3 Chaos Orb stacks. Let's assume, for example, these are over here and all are at 5k. We can hover over the first one, the second one, and the third one, and it will add all of these 3 stacks and it will run through all of them. And that's also the reason why we have the arm grid capture. Now, the arm grid capture is for convenience. It does the same thing as the capture button, but instead of just adding 1 position at a time, it can add multiple. So for example, I press the arm grid button, then I hover over the first item in this 7x2 slot grid, and I hover over the first item and then the last one, and it adds all of those positions as captured positions. If you want to stop the capture process, or if you want to stop the arm grid capture process, what you do is you just press your escape button. Now you can do multiple arm drag captures after another. It won't override the previous values. So make sure that if you have different positions, you press the reset button and you get new ones. So we just have 1 Chaos Orb stack over here. You can see that I don't have any more Chaos Orbs down here, and we probably won't need more than 300 Chaos Orbs realistically for this quick spam. Then the next position that we need to set is the item position. We just do the same thing, press on the button, hover over the item position, then press our spacebar. You can see this immediately captured our item position, and this won't capture multiple item positions. So if we capture again and again, it will just override the prior value. That multi-base crafting is exclusively in this mode down here that you have to enable, and that we'll get to later. So after we've defined the item position and the additive currency position, we can go to the statistics tab and open this on a second monitor. I like to do that because it will show me how fast am I applying these modifiers, how many modifiers per hour, what's my hit rate, and also I can quickly see what modifiers I have actually selected. But of course, if you don't have a second modifier, you don't really need to open it. It's just quality of life. So to start this up, we first want to be aware what our hotkey settings are. The standard is going to be Ctrl+1 for starting it up, and for each action, it's the 3 key on your keyboard. And that is not the numpad 3, it's just the 3. So what we do is we go to statistics, put this on a second monitor, and then we start it with Ctrl+1, and you can see it immediately move to the item position. And then we can just start the spamming on this item, which, sorry, I forgot to put an actual modifier on there. Okay, so after we have one modifier, whoops, we can start the spamming on this item by pressing our 3 key. So we just spam the 3 key until it stops. You can see this is basically doing it entirely by itself, although for each action I need to actually do 1 click. So you could automate this so it's fully automatic, but that would be against TOS, and that's why I have it in this way, where it just gives you 1 action per keyboard press. So as you saw, we hit increased spell damage very quickly, and I didn't have to look at what modifier I got on each and every singular press. The interesting thing is, you can see we're still very slow when it comes to the average cycle time, and I'm saying that because I achieved a very much faster one, and I will show you that real quick. So let's reset the session stats, start it up again, and let me really spam the 3 key. Whoops, I need to put another modifier on there first. Okay, so as you just saw, that was a bit faster. You can of course get even faster. The cap is set at something like 0.15 seconds per apply of currency. We took around half a second for each currency apply, which you can see is a lot of modifiers per hour. That's 6,109 modifiers per hour, and we have a hit rate of 1 in 8 with increased spell damage, which, you know, is a given because we're taking or stopping at any tier. That's the essential part that this tool is for. Now let's get into what this tool can do in addition to that. So the first thing is of course going to be the multi-base stash spam. This is for the case where, let's say for example, you plan on doing a lot of spamming the next few hours. What you can do is you can take multiple item bases, like for example, you can take these 2 wands. We have these 2 wands in this tab, and we want to, if we're done with this wand, automatically have the tool take the next wand and continue crafting on it. And to do that, what we'll do is first off remove the spell damage there, and then we'll open the tool again, enable the multi-base stash, and define the first craft tab's position by obviously doing the same thing as with the other captures. And you can see we can even capture multiple currency tab positions if, for example, we have that currency spread among different tabs. So if you don't have a currency stash tab, or you plan on crafting more than 75,000 currency orbs, you can have this spread among different crafting tabs. And for this sake, we're going to define the first crafting tab as well as the base tab. We don't need more than 1 base tab and 1 currency tab, but you can define more. And then we'll go to our bases tab. And first off, I want you to realize that in here, we also have an arm grid capture where you can set the X and Y coordinates. So for example, if we have 144 items in here, we can just capture all of them. This, you don't have to manually capture them. And of course you can clear them right here, but we only have 2 item bases right here. So we'll just mark them like this. We have 2 base cells captured, and we have the craft tabs captured and the bases tabs captured. Now what the tool will do when you start it up, so let's start it, is basically go to the first position of the first base, then it will pick it up and put it into the item position of your first craft tab, and then if you press your buttons, it will continuously craft on it, and it will take the next one and also finish this one. So you can see we got spell damage on both of them, and this is really convenient if you're not looking for like a very rare modifier and you have like a shit ton of items and you don't want to manually put each and every single item into the item position. So it saves a bit of time, but it's usually only really effective if you do it for a lot of items. That's about it. You can of course press the save button up here, and if you need any help in here, or if you want to modify it in some kind of way, you obviously can go through the help tab, or for example, you can change some of the settings in here. There's a lot of timings. So these are basically the minimum timings that the tool takes into account. You have to make it a bit bigger to see all of the options. And of course, we also have humanization options. If, for example, you feel more comfortable with having some humanization in here, it's an option, but generally I don't think that it will be necessary, since these kinds of things are not connected to any RAM reading or doing any modification to the game itself. It's just taking what the game gives us, which is the Control-C of an item, and then working with it. That's the whole thing that this crafter works on. It's not really necessary, but it was very, very easy to add, so I added it. If you configured all of the settings that you want, you can press the save button, and of course you can press the help button up here and the tutorial if you want to be led through the whole thing. So what is what, where do you press what, and it's going to explain everything to you like I explained in this video. So thank you very, very much for watching until the end. I hope that this video helped you out with the crafter, and maybe you got interested in it and you buy the membership from it. Otherwise, the public version from this crafter, which will be able to do a lot of different things, is going to release soon. Features like, for example, that you can mark all of the items in a tab and then go through them while searching for specific modifiers, are also going to be added soon to this tool. So thank you very, very much for watching. I'll be seeing you guys in the next one.